Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. Look, a lot of things going on. We got a lot of new guns being introduced this past week, and one of them that was really interesting, we were able to grab Rob Leatham from Springfield Armory a couple of days ago, and here's that interview. All right, hey, Rob, look, you got this brand new pistol. I don't know if you remember, about 6 weeks ago, I sent you a text and said, man, what you guys really need is a double-stack 1911. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. It's funny how we're always talking about whenever we talk 1911, I mean, the pundits always come back with the same thing every single time. It's always, exactly. Rounds.
Yeah, exactly. I want more. I just want more rounds. So, and then, of course, I think you probably been working on this for at least a year, I would guess, right?
I've been aware of this project for over 2 years. I posted the other day on Facebook a picture. And
I saw that with a date on it, yeah.
Yeah, it was dated, and it's almost a year old that I've had the one I've had. Do you know how hard it is to have something like that and not be able to go out and use it?
Talk about it, or shoot it anywhere where people can see it.
Right. There like one or two people got to ever see that gun. And most of them live in my house with me for 20-plus years. So
okay, all right. Well, let's tell people what it is. It's called the Prodigy, and it's a new Springfield Armory 1911 pistol. It's a double-stack 9, but it actually goes beyond that with some of the features and the way you guys put it together. So I'll let you pick it up from there.
Well, when we looked at what do we want to do with this gun and what we've learned over the decades is the trend is definitely towards have optical sights and to be able to put rails on the gun so you can put flashlights. So a standardized defense tactical gun now, you just to be part of where we're at, or you can think I want it. Single action revolver good enough for me. But the reality is we have to have optical sight capacity. Okay, I don't know that everybody needs one, and I don't know that everybody wants one. But there's no reason, with what we know now, that we don't plan that in. So the Prodigy is optics ready, uses the plate system that we worked on with Agency Arms, and there's a number of different plates. I think there are 4 of them. Will fit hundreds of sights. I mean, basically everything, okay?
Wow.
Then, basically, it was what's the latest trends and the latest, greatest of how you build a 1911. So we got a very long accessory rail. And after that, it becomes, okay, let's go into the basics of the gun. Well, there's not a lot new to figure out the firing mechanism of the 1911. So we just adapted what we're already doing as far as the hammers, triggers, sears. We did go, thank goodness, ambi safeties on this one. So you're going to be good this time, Tom.
I still shoot right-handed.
I know.
Yeah, I know. But I can shoot badly either way.
I started thinking, okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set up a rig with 2 holsters, one on each side. I will never have to reload again.
Okay, well, so what's the capacity of this thing?
So the standard magazine we call flush that isn't flush, because you're thinking old school 1911, the old 7-rounders, remember how they really were flush?
Right.
So the short one, and that terminology is stuck for shortest magazines available for the gun. That one holds 17. Then there's one that's slightly extended that holds 20, and then that's the one for you competition shooters that have to stay with the 140 length magazine length. And then there's an optional 26. So you get a 17 and a 20 with the gun.
Wow. So is this primarily designed at this point as a competition gun?
No, not really. It's quite the opposite. There were lots of things I wanted for the competition world that I didn't get. So I really, really, really think that the goal for this was really a more generalized gun, something more as a service pistol. It's a tactical use, and as defense. See, one of the coolest things about the polymer frame is
wait. This is the first time. I was wondering if you're ever going to get around to it. This thing has a polymer frame on a 1911. You finally got there.
Heck, did I? Did I? Hey, Tom, did I mention? Well, it does, because one of the problems, we've had high-cap 1911s in the past, but we did it old school. We did it as a metal frame, and they're very challenging to make, especially if we're trying to machine them out of a forged piece. So this is simply using modern technology. So let's make the hard parts out of an injection molded part that's made out of polymer. And then the top part of the frame is steel, which allows us to have good, solid positions for the pinholes and for the frame rails. I guess I should have mentioned that. But the bonus on that is the gun is pretty light. The 4 1/4 inch gun is no heavier than a standard steel frame 1911.
So you got forged steel frame, forged steel slide, and a polymer grip that's mated to the frame.
Correct.
Huh. Okay.
I forget to mention that, huh?
Okay. All right. So, I mean, and the first question everybody has, of course, is, I think I probably got you into your gun room right now, is how wide is it? Because everybody wants to know, okay, well, it's a double stack. Is it really big fat? Can I actually get my hands around it? So how fat is this thing?
Well, if you just measure it in width, which, for concealing purposes, I think that's the dimension most people will look at. Mm-hmm. The actual width of the grip is barely larger than a standard 1911 with the old school, rounded side grips on. Matter of fact, anticipating this moment, I went and did some measuring.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Prodigy's grip frame is the widest thing of any 1911 is between the thumb safeties, right? So let's remember that.
Sure.
So it's wider than that. That's the same on all 1911s, whether it's double stack or not. Right. And it's 1.360 inches wide. And I measured another one, which was just, I think, one of our old loaded models here, and it was 1.27. So it's only 70 thousandths wider, which is less than a tenth of an inch to more than double the magazine capacity. So the width really isn't much of an issue, to tell you the truth. I mean, the grip is bigger around because obviously you're filling a magazine the magazine's huge.
You got a bucket of bullets in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what's happening.
So how did this gun come about? What was the conversation that took place at Springfield Armory to make this happen?
So we sat down and said, hey, we need to make a high-capacity 1911. So how shall we do it? Well, at the early stages, which was years ago, one side of it went, well, let's just revive what we did in the past. And then another side said, no, we don't want that gun. We stopped building it for a reason. Let's move on to something else. And then somebody said, okay, well, what magazine are we going to use? Well, let's build a magazine just for it. And said, well, that's going to be pretty tough. Magazine's always the hardest part of the gun, believe it or not.
I know.
And he said, why do we start with something new? Let's take dimensions that we already know. Let's take dimensions that we've already done in the past, and let's just stay with that and simplify this as much as possible. So in the end, the less adventurous route was taken. Now, I probably am not supposed to say anything like this because this introduction is a 9mm. Right. So the capacity you just talked about. But something to keep in the back of your mind, and I hope we're thinking about it, is that magazine's big enough to hold anything.
What do you mean by anything?
45, 38 Super, 9x23, 40, 10 millimeter.
10?
10, yeah. That magazine could technically hold everything. So So I think one of the reasons we went with the spec that we did was knowing full well that if in the future things wanted to expand, we could.
You have future-proofed it.
God, every time you think you have it, but
yeah, that's true.
Trying.
Yeah. All right. And it's called the Prodigy.
Yes.
And there are 2 versions of it out. Well, actually, 4 versions, if you will, but because you can get it with or without the red dot optic. But also you got the 5-inch and the 4 1/4, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so you know me. It's like, okay, this is really wonderful, but I want this other thing. I want you to do one more thing for me on this gun, right? It's like, what have you done for me lately? Because this has already been out for at least a day.
Yeah, it's been out for 24 hours. My God, let's get on to something
that's right.
new.
So when are we going to get our full-blown concealed carry version?
Well, it's odd that you mentioned that. In-house, I don't know what the plan is yet. I do know this, that if it makes the weight already, if the grip was a little bit shorter and the magazine held, like a measly 13 rounds or 12 rounds or something, it would be small enough to match the basic profile of something like a compact 9mm 1911 or a compact 45. And that gun would fit in the concealed carry pistol division of IDPA, which I'm currently shooting. So,
okay, so something may be happening there.
Like that?
And I'm assuming that the way it is right now, it will fit in any 1911 holster.
Well, actually, I don't think I can say that. And the reason is, when they did the width of the frame on this one, it's not exactly the same as what we've done in the past on our operator models. So I wouldn't say that. I'd say anybody out there, we really did our due diligence on this, Tom. We've been in contact with a bunch of holster manufacturers, and everybody kept it a secret real well. But funny how the day the gun was released, all these holster manufacturers released holsters for us because we'd moved ahead far enough to make sure that got done. We have a bunch on our web store at Springfield, and if you go, there's a whole bunch of companies making them.
All right. Last thing is price on this, MSRP?
$14.99 is MSRP.
Oh, that's not bad. Not bad at all.
No, if you look at other things that are comparable into the market, I mean, it's not as cheap as an XDM. No. But there's no way it can ever be because the gun is just so much more complex to build. But for the cost to be able to have a double stack 1911, that's going to be revolutionary is the wrong word. It's going to be a game changer.
It is. It's going to be impressive. I got to scoot here, Rob. Look, I appreciate it. It's called the Prodigy. You can check it out at springfield-armory.com. Also, Ryan's already shot it. You can look at our videos over there. Rob, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. It's always a pleasure. I love talking to you.